Hello and welcome to another edition of the Coweta Community Spotlight. Today we are here at Mountain Motors, and I am speaking with Denver Garrett. Hello, Denver. How are you?
How are you doing? Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for being on our show today. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And you're kind of off the beaten path as far as car dealers here in Union, but you always have some really interesting and neat things. I've bought some cars from you over the years, and I've known some other people that have. How long have you actually been in this location?
Actually, over 15 years. We started
15 years.
Started July of 2003.
Wow. That's a good long time to be in one place. Obviously, it's paying off for you, and you're doing good. How did you get started in the car business? I mean, did you come from being a mechanic, or how was it a natural progression?
Well, actually, it's kind of a fluke in a way. And I've always been in sales, and I moved from New Orleans, which is where I was originally from, to Georgia, where I attended school. So kind of both places were my home. And when I moved up here in September of 1985, my father was married to a lady that said, if you can't just sit around and draw your Navy retirement, you need a job. When I moved from New Orleans to Atlanta in 1985, moved in with my father and stepmom, and he was working at a used car lot, and he asked me, well, what kind of work are you going to do? And I said, well, something in sales. And he was like, well, until you figure out what you want to do, you can probably get a job down with me down at the car lot, because Shirley told me I can't lay around and draw a Navy retirement, drink Black Label beer, and smoke Pall Mall cigarettes. I needed a job. And I said, well, sure, sounds good to me. So that was actually how I got introduced into the car business. And I did that for about a year and a half, and found out that, I was pretty good at it, won a few Salesman of the Month awards and so forth. So I did that for about a year and a half, and then about that time started my family, and I decided I want a job that was not involved with the car business, so I could spend more time, with my firstborn, my daughter.
Right.
And so I took a regular job and did a few things here and there, all involved in sales. And
so you see yourself as a primarily as a salesman that just happens to be in the car business, or are you a car guy that's also a salesman?
No, I would say, well, they say if you're going to get into a business, do what you know.
Right.
So I knew enough about mechanical things to be dangerous. I'd rebuilt an engine or two in my time. And so when I decided to make the leap, and actually, open up the car business, it incorporated a couple things that I knew. I knew I could sell cars, and I knew enough about cars to be dangerous, so I figured that's all I need.
That kind of gets me to the point that I've heard, there's not a vast amount of money in most car dealerships, and so there has to be something that keeps you in that business other than money, and it would have to come from an innate passion or a love for automobiles, or from a sales perspective, a love for interacting with people and
Well, my drive in doing this basically was, I'd worked in the corporate world for years, and I left a pretty good job, account executive, company car expense account, and so forth, making pretty decent money.
So you were in the corporate realm before you did this.
Yeah, of course. And but every time I turned around, you got a new boss, a new sales manager, and you had to prove yourself over and over again.
And they kept getting younger and younger.
I guess. Well, I just got fed up with the corporate world and the dog eat dog and the way it was, and I wasn't much for corporate ladder climbing anyway. Right. And so at one point I said I've had enough of this, and I might as well go out on my own. And so my drive is basically be able to stand on my own 2 feet, make my own way, and not be beholden to anyone without having a quote unquote boss looking over your shoulder, telling you what to do, watching what you do. That's right.
Well, I mean, that's the interesting part about you and your business, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to feature you here on the Community Spotlight, because you're not the typical car guy. You remind me of a lot of the ones years ago, like when I was growing up. You got that robust Louisiana personality, and you seem to enjoy the interlocutorness you have with people, and you're honest, which is rare for commercial car dealers. I mean, if something's wrong, you will tell people that it's wrong.
I do my best to make everything transparent here.
Right.
You know,
right. And you probably almost have to, being in a smaller business.
Well, yeah, not necessarily. There's a lot of people that they try to pull the wool over your eyes, and you know, a lot of wannabe dealers meet you in the Walmart parking lot and so forth. But we're here, and we've been here 15 years, and if you want to find me, this is where I'm going to be.
Well,
6 days a week.
Yeah, I enjoy the interesting cultural experience coming down and just bantering with you back and forth. And you always have some really rare and unique automobiles. I've seen a variety of different ones here, and so you don't
This is true.
You don't just cater to a particular audience. I've noticed, which a lot of car dealers they'll cater to just the upper class, or just the middle class, or just the lower class. I mean, you've had a broad spectrum of automobiles here. Yeah. What prompted you to have a more circumspect approach to being in the car business?
Well, you know, I like to buy vehicles that are interesting to me. A lot of the vehicles that I have here and have had over the year have been one-off vehicles, vehicles that you can't just snap your fingers on. There's one right around the corner, or 4 right around the corner. If you want that particular vehicle, you're going to find it at Mountain Motors.
Right, yeah. And you're also dealing some motorcycles.
Some motorcycles, right. I got into that by accident, just trying to help somebody out. Found out I liked it, and so I've bought and sold quite a few motorcycles over the years.
And this is basically a family business because you and your wife run it together.
That's correct.
Yeah, which is always nice to have.
Yeah.
And
my son back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when he was younger. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he won a Salesman of the Year award one year because he sold a Toyota truck with 465,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Which I did not realize when I bought it. They marked it at the auction at 165, and when I went to pick it up and drove it back, I saw 465, and I went, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
But by the time I could take it back the following Monday, he had already sold it Saturday.
Well, some of these automobiles, I mean, I've had a Mercedes in the past that you know pressed right at 400 and something thousand.
Sure.
And so nowadays, that's not really as big a deal as it used to be when you and I grew up.
Yeah.
Because when you and I grew up, 85, 90, 100,000, that was it.
Exactly.
On a lot of the cars.
Yeah, you throw them away at 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
Cars back in the 80s.
That's true.
Right.
You know, and you know things continually progress, and I've noticed today that if you go to the new car dealerships, I don't care if it's Toyota, Mercedes, Honda, Kia. They all actually look the same. They got kind of the same aerodynamic body style and body shape, and that's one thing I really miss about automobiles is their own individual uniqueness. Because back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you knew a Plymouth when you see it, or you knew an Oldsmobile.
That's right.
And I don't know why they gotten away from individualism in reference to automobiles and made everything basically the same.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, some of your younger people will take these cars and they'll do what they call shave them, which is basically take all the emblems off. And if they take all the emblems off, you have no idea what kind of car it is.
I didn't realize that.
Right. It could be a Hyundai. It could be a Honda. You don't know the difference because of the, how can I say, the homogenization of automobiles, where they all, like you say, tend to look the same.
Yeah.
You know, you can't tell one from another hardly, unless you get close enough to see the actual badge on it.
Yeah. What is the basic year ranges that you deal in, or you don't have a particular range?
By design, for 15 years, most of my cars have been 5,000 under. They're primarily, cash cars. People come in to pay cash. They use debit, credit cards, of course, now, and we do have local financing available. And just
I didn't realize that. So you do have an avenue for people.
Yes. If their credit is decent, I've got a couple local lenders that we can utilize. I've just recently taken on another company that deals with more of the subprime market. That's kind of like what they specialize in, just to help out some of the people that they have a good down payment, but that's all they have. Not enough to actually buy a decent car.
Hey, I've been there.
Yeah. We've all been there, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I didn't realize that you had an avenue for financing. Yeah. Well, I mean, what would you like to say to the people that watch this show? Is there any particular message you'd like to give, or something that you'd want the community to know about you that perhaps they don't? Because you're kind of off the beaten path, off of Highway 27, Carrollton Highway.
Just outside of the city limits of Newnan.
Just outside of the city limits of Newnan. Not a lot of people may not know that you're here.
Yes. We've, matter of fact, we did a local ad years ago, and it was a picture of a woman holding her finger to her mouth, shh, because we like to joke and say we're Newnan's best kept secret. I've sold many a car to people here in Newnan, and because of my location, because of the fact that I'm on a highway that's 55 miles an hour, many people I've sold cars to have passed by this place 50 times and didn't realize that there was a used car dealership here because they went by here so fast.
Right.
All right. But what I like to tell the people is, is that I put a lot of work and effort. I go to scour the local auctions, buy franchise dealer trade-in vehicles, occasionally donated vehicles that are that may be older and less expensive because you have to buy an older car and to get something less expensive.
Right.
But are still good, viable automobiles that somebody can buy. And I like to think that most cars I sell here, people can buy for less than $5,000 cash,
and have a solid automobile.
And have a solid automobile that I'd like to think they could drive another 100,000 miles if they just maintain it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, the appealing aspect of Mountain Motors to me is, and I kind of said earlier, it's kind of a nod to 2 or 3 decades ago, where you can come in and you're talking to an individual who will give you personalized service. You don't have any kind of hassle or quotas to meet, and you actually appear to care about putting the individual in a car that's appropriate for them rather than just making a sale.
That's right.
And that went away mostly across America many years ago. And just the fact that you still provide that type of service is very laudable, and I commend you for it.
Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it is true. People come in, and I try to, find out what their needs are. Because, obviously, a lot of people will come in and they'll like, well, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I'm like, and what's your budget? And then you find out what their budget is, and you say, well, what do you really need?
Yeah, because a lot of times people want what they don't need, and they need what they don't want.
Right. So we try to, sell them a vehicle that'll meet their needs and try to fulfill their wants too, at the same time. Fortunately, at Mountain Motors, because I guess my philosophy when it comes to sales and dealing with my customers is I like to approach it from a win-win basis.
Right.
Not like the big dealers, they're always winning. You're never going to win at the big dealers.
Right.
They're always going to win. Here at Mountain Motors, I let you win. And the way I win is that I spend a lot of time and effort buying these cars at a bargain so that even though I can sell it to you at a very reasonable price, I will still have a little bit of profit in there, which works for me because none of these cars I'm sentimentally attached to.
Right.
I do this really, finding inventory, as a almost you could think of it as a service.
Public service,
because the average person, I mean, if anybody's ever been on Craigslist or any of that stuff, I've sold many cars to people that have chased these Craigslist cars, and they put 500,000 miles looking at raggedy cars that were not what they were portrayed to be and so forth, and then they come here and they go, I should have just came here in the first place.
Right.
And we may not have exactly what you want, possibly, but it's a good place to start.
Then it goes that way both directions too. Them purchasing here or you selling to them. My father always told me that he would rather make a quick dime than a slow dollar.
That's right.
And you do that too, I think, because you'd rather sell 3 solid cars that people needed or enjoyed, rather than to hold out for 6 months to sell a higher end car.
That's right.
For a little more profit. And so you satisfy 3 people as opposed to 1.
That's right, and it makes sense to me from just my business model of the under 5,000 and so forth to have 3 cars that I spent $10,000 on rather than 1 car I spent $10,000 on.
Now, do you take trade-ins?
We do take trade-ins. People welcome to bring their trade-ins. We buy cars. If somebody has a car and they're interested in selling it, they can more than happy to bring it by here, and you don't have to go all the way to CarMax.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'll do the same thing they do. We'll buy your car, and if you don't buy ours.
Yeah, it's all the name of the game.
Yeah.
Well, Denver, let's walk around outside and see a little bit of the cars you have in stock.
Take a look at the inventory. Okay. Well, it's not.
And I appreciate you taking your time out from your customers and sitting down and talking with me. And before we leave the interview, tell people where they can find you.
We're conveniently located I-85 South, exit number 47, in Noonan, Georgia. We're located at exactly 1230 Georgia 16 West. And make sure you put the west in if you're GPSing it, or they'll send you east, and that happens a lot.
Right.
But we're coming out of Noonan, just outside the Noonan city limits, on the way to Whitesburg, Sargent, and ultimately Carrollton. So even though we are, as you say, not on the necessarily beaten path, we're a little off the beaten path here. Quite accessible. And,
it's very easy to find.
It's a very high traffic area.
And you have a website.
We do have a website. It's mountainmotorsofnoonan.com. Feel free to bookmark my website and then check my inventory weekly, because I do attend at least 4 dealer sales a week looking for new inventory.
And you have social media set up as well?
Yes. You can see us on mountainmotorsofnoonan.com on Facebook as well.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, we're in the Facebook marketplace, and you can find us on Car Gurus, Auto Trader, carsforsale.com. We advertise on Craigslist as well. Mm-hmm. We're out there, yes.
All right, Denver. Thank you
for
your time.
All right. Just want to show you a variety of the cars that we have available here at Mountain Motors, because we do try to cater to a lot of different automobile needs. Here's a 02 Avalanche, 4-wheel drive, with only 189,000 miles, which is fairly low for an 02. Very nice truck. I've got this price right now at $59.95. Feel free to check around. Trucks can get expensive, but again, I'm trying to find bargains so I can pass them on to my customers. So you say you don't want a big truck. Well, here's a time-tested 1991 Toyota SR5 extended bed, extended cab, automatic, 246,000 miles, which is nowhere near the end of life for one of these vehicles. It's only $34.95. Again, it's a unique vehicle, kind of a one-of-a-kind. They're kind of hard to find, so got it right here for you if you're looking for a small truck. And just to show you that we're trying to keep up with the cutting edge, here's a 2011 Ford Escape Hybrid. This is a gasoline electric motor that is phenomenal fuel economy. This is a 2011, and it's only $59.95. Now, this particular vehicle has been accessorized to be a work SUV. It has ladder rack on the top. It has back seat removed with plating. So if you have if you're a cable repair person or any kind of person that does outside work and could use an economical SUV, this would definitely be for you. And at $59.95, it's a bargain. And again, just to show you the variety that we have at Mountain Motors, here is a
particularly hard to find vehicle. It's a 2003 Ford Focus SVT. The SVT is a special vehicle team vehicle. This is a hand-built car. They only made a small number of these, and they're not readily available. They perform well. It comes with a 6-speed, 4-cylinder, fully loaded with roof, air, CD changer, etc. If you're looking for a fun, zippy, responsive automobile, that's why I have it. And again, just to show the variety of automobiles that we have available at Mountain Motors. Here's a 2004 Mercedes-Benz C320 Sport Edition. It has pretty low miles for an 04. It's only 139,000, I want to say. Fully loaded for your upscale buyers who want a prestigious automobile at only $49.95. We bought it for you.
Denver, thanks for taking us around and showing us some of your automobiles today. And it's been great. And again, that's Denver Garrett, Mountain Motors on Highway 27 in Newnan. That's another edition of the Community Spotlight. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Bye-bye.